Good morning, Downingtown STEM Academy. My name is Grisha Maney.
And my name is Krishna Amin. Welcome back to another episode of STEM TV Quarantine Edition. We hope you had a great weekend and are ready to start a brand new week of school.
But before we get started with today's episode, we would like to remind you that STEM TV is still looking for student-submitted segments to air on STEM TV Quarantine Edition, Season 2. If you have any ideas or talents you want to share, please click on the link in the description below.
Starting the show off, we have STEM weather. Today we are joined by our favorite meteorologist, Brendan. Let's hand it over to him now.
Howdy STEM Academy, my name is Brendan Schmalberger, and today we have another episode of STEM Weather Quarantine Edition. So without further ado, let's get right on into it. So coming up for today, we're going to have a high of 65 degrees, going up to 40% chance of rain, mostly coming up in the morning though. Winds coming from the northwest at 3 miles per hour. Then we're going to immediately take that right into tonight, where it's going to get all the way down to 45 degrees. Only 10% chance all that rain's going to be gone by then. It's going to be clear skies, winds from the northwest at 1 mile per hour. However, it is going to be pretty varied, so expect some changes. Going into tomorrow, it's going to be a high of 68 degrees with some sunny skies, winds coming from the southwest at 7 miles per hour. Then we're going to take it into the week ahead. This entire week coming up is going to be pretty cloudy except for Friday. It's going to be the only day where it's almost 100% sunny. So Wednesday, it's going to be high of the week, 72 degrees. Some scattered clouds poking in throughout the day, but mostly going to see some sun. Thursday is going to be some late afternoon clouds. You're definitely going to be able to see some sunshine in the morning, going down to 64 degrees. Friday, it's going to go all the way down to 62, regardless of the fact that it is going to be the only day, like I mentioned, that will have all sun. Finally going to go up on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, once again, getting those late afternoon clouds in, going back up to 68, finishing off on Sunday with a high of 70, scattered clouds mixed in. All right, that's all I got for you today, Downtown STEM Academy. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and we're going to send it right back to the studio.
Thanks for the weather update, Brendan. As the weather is getting colder, please make sure you wear some warm clothes to stay nice and toasty.
Next up, we have DASD Community, hosted by Sarah Asif. As you already know, DASD Community is a segment where we showcase projects our community members are working on to improve our community. If you would like to be featured on a future episode of DASD Community, please make sure to check the description below. Let's hand it over to her now.
Hello, Downingtown STEM Academy. This is Sarah Asif on the DASD Community Showcase, showing off the best of our communities. Today we're showing you guys a cast project from Vani Chauhan, Maddie Boone, Amanda Kunkel, and Ria Medagam. They saw how this pandemic was affecting pediatric hospitals, and they decided that they wanted to help by starting a campaign called Toys for Joy. Toys for Joy is meant to give back to the community and help support children at our local pediatric hospital, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, otherwise known as CHOP. They want to bring joy to these children, but they're going to need your help. They need money donations in order to buy toys and other materials that the children need. The goal is to raise about $2,000 to donate. This fundraiser is ongoing, and you can donate at the link below. Well, that's all we have for you today, Downingtown STEM Academy. Hope you all have a great day.
Great job, Sarah, on your first DASD community segment. We can't wait to see what you show us next time. It's really hard to keep in touch with what's happening in our community during these times, so we're glad that you have these updates for us.
Next up, we have STEM Happenings, hosted by Aparna. Let's find out who she's interviewing this week. Take it away, Aparna.
Hello, Downingtown STEM Academy, and welcome back to our segment of STEM Happenings. My name is Aparna Vagvala, and I'll be your host today. And I'm coming to you with our very first staff interview with Mr. Namro. So welcome to the show, Mr. Namro.
Hi, good to be here.
So how have you been doing? How have you been kind of coping with this virtual setting and just in general doing?
In general, I think I've been coping fairly well. I'm not exactly the most social person when it comes to going out and, going to places other than work and the outdoors, I guess. So I've been coping just fine, to be honest with you. I think there have been times where it has gotten to me a little bit, not being able to, or just feeling a little bit uncomfortable about wanting to see friends in person, and then because I think you just feel guilty if you do, only because of the pandemic. So you just gotta try to find creative ways to stay in contact with those that you care about.
Yeah, it's definitely been kind of crazy. It has its ups and downs, but I think like in general, STEM has really been pulling through fairly well.
I'd like to. I think so. I haven't. I think it's been great having some of our. I think Miss Perez actually started a lunch bunch group for teachers to kind of simulate like being in the faculty room during lunch break, I guess. And that's really just being able to connect and see your coworkers and friends on a semi-regular basis has absolutely been very, very helpful. I find myself looking forward to those times a lot.
Yeah, even students have been coming up with a lot of creative ways to kind of stay in touch in a safe way. So we were stuck in quarantine this whole summer, Mr. Namro. So what did you like to do to pass the time?
I played so many video games. I played a lot of video games. Um, a lot of video. I played more. I just played. I played a lot of video games. That's all. That and what else did I do? Until I got injured with my ankle, I was skating a lot. But I had an ankle injury, and it hasn't been right since. So I'm kind of limited in how much I can do that. So that was just more of an excuse to play more video games. I read so much too. I know we're video games for sure, but like I definitely read a lot. Audible is a great app. If you are looking for a good app to download and you like books on tape, Audible is amazing.
Yeah, thanks for the recommendation. So going back to video games, like if you played a lot, what would you say are like your top few video games, maybe top five? Any good recommendations?
My God, this is like the best question in the world. I think, all right, so it kind of depends. If we're talking about story, best story for a video game, and only story alone, from what I've played, there are a lot of good ones, but I'd say that for story alone, you'd have to go with Grand Theft Auto 5 is a great story. Red Dead Redemption 2, great story. BioShock Infinite, maybe one of the best stories in a video game I've ever played. I know I'm forgetting something. I know my friends and my son is probably going to fault me for it. Definitely not Fallout. Fallout is a game that I do not approve of at all. I'm trying to think what else. Yes, for story. As far as like playability and replayability, all those games are really good. But then there's like I really got used to playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater way back in the day. So they just released a remastered version of it. So I'll play that, which is a lot of fun. Or I'll play some of like the old school games like Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man. So I don't know if that gives you an answer, but if we're just talking about story alone, those are my top five or so.
Yeah, thanks for the recommendations, Mr. Namro.
No problem. Oh, The Last of Us. Sorry, The Last of Us. That's also Last of Us 1 and 2, good stories.
Yeah, so I guess going on to like our next topic. So you talked about kind of missing being able to hang out with friends in like a safe way, but is there anything else you really miss about being in person or things that you're looking forward to for when we finally come back?
I really, really miss being around students. I feel like I'm definitely having more experiences with my students lately where we can kind of talk casually. It's a hard thing to do when you're in a Zoom classroom because it's like as soon as the camera's on and you start recording, it's like, all right, go. Now we're teaching. And so it feels, at first it feels very unnatural to try and have some sort of casual conversation to get to know someone in a Zoom meeting. So I feel I'm looking forward to being able to just talk with my students in a more natural setting. That said, I feel very good about some of the conversations and the interactions that I've had with quite a few students. I think recently it felt really weird to have like a belly laugh, gut laugh moment where students and I were both like laughing about something. And that felt amazing. That completely warmed my heart. I just feel like there were more. There were more opportunities for that to happen more naturally when I was in person in the classroom. So to have that bit of like normalcy in talking and laughing about something with another student, it just felt really good to have like a normal interaction in that regard. I'm hoping I can have more of them, not like all the time throughout my class where I'm just laughing like a fool, but where it just feels where there are more normal situations, I guess, online.
Right. I'm sure a lot of students are missing being able to really interact with teachers in person because there's only so much you can do over Zoom. So just kind of our last question for today. Do you have any advice for students, whether it's about online school or life in general, just any sort of advice that you want to leave to our viewers today?
Well, I think that, I think online school, I think is, I personally, I think it's a good idea if you're trying to, what can I say? So I'm on the right side of this, or the objective side of this political argument. Advice for my students. I think the best thing that you could do is really reach out to your teachers through email. And I will say this, that because there are, I guess because it is online, there's more email, there's more remind, there's more Schoology messaging, which is okay. But what there's less of are students asking questions in like face-to-face in class. Mm-hmm. And I think that in order to make that Zoom experience or that online experience not just feel more normal, but to also just make facilitate a better learning environment and culture online, is to reserve those questions for those Zoom lessons, for those Zoom meetings. Because I will say this to all the students: like, your teachers are dying to answer your questions. They really want to be there to help you. And so when you don't ask questions, we'll just tend, because we naturally don't want to leave things in awkward silence, so we'll just end up talking through that awkward silence, and nobody has questions, so we'll talk some more. But it's great when students ask questions and ask for advice or ask for help. It really kind of makes things feel a lot more normal, and definitely it has the undeniable benefit of helping them out.
Right. Thank you so much for that advice, Mr. Namro. And that brings us to the end of our questions that we have for you today. So thank you so much for joining us this week on STEM Happenings. And I'll see you next week, STEM Academy.
See ya. Thank you.
Great job on the interview, Aparna. We can't wait to see who you interview next week.
Sadly, we are nearing the end of our show today. But before you start tearing up, remember, we will be back next week.
Also, we would like to remind you to join STEM TV to help us create new episodes of STEM TV Quarantine Edition. While STEM TV is a club, we rarely meet during C Days, which allows you to be more involved in other clubs. If you're interested, please make sure to check the description below for more details on how to join.
That's all we have for you today, Downingtown STEM Academy. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you again next week with another episode of STEM TV Quarantine Edition.